a lot of people find themselves unsatisfied.
Yeah.
Because they're chasing that cookie cutter American dream, and they get the house and they got the job and all those things that you talked about, and then they say, well, this doesn't feel right.
This doesn't feel like it was supposed to, right? This doesn't feel like what they said it should.
Exactly.
I don't have that euphoria, that feeling that I was supposed to have.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, we back for another one.
Oh, it's another one. We are episode 3, and we have music now. And I think that's about right where it needs to be.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds real good.
So how's things been? How's things been since we last got together?
It's been a whirlwind, man, but we're here, and I'm excited about it. I think we've made some strides between the last show and this one, and so
for sure.
Hopefully people are getting something good out of the content we're putting out there.
Hopefully people can hear the content now.
Even better, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was going through the editing process and like looking at it and seeing the uploading and the stuff that you put together, like it was so good, but the volume was so low, and I was like, damn, we're not going to be able to go back and do that again. That's the downfall.
You can't capture it twice, right? So you just have to take it with the first one, but. Definitely. I believe the tweaks that we have on this one, man, have been the top notch. So we're ready to go.
We're ready to see. So what are we jumping into today? We got the inspirational music behind us. We got the cameras rolling. The lights are on. I'm getting sweaty.
Already.
But what are we getting into?
So, man, we wanted to talk. We threw around some topics, man. We wanted to talk about the American dream.
The American dream.
The
American dream.
Yeah. I mean, because I think we've been told what that dream is, but, for some people that thing may be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to dig into that. I know we're going to dig into that today, and just see where we can go, with our discussion about that on our topic today, rather.
I like it. And, it's funny because I don't know. It seems like right before we have any type of a podcast, I always end up having some type of conversation with somebody, and I don't know if it's just the nature and the way that the world is going that more people are wanting to open up or try to find solutions or whatever it is, right? But it's just the conversation yesterday was kind of about not necessarily the American dream, but I guess similar, but what is it that makes you happy?
Yeah.
And what is it that you're doing? But I don't know. I think about the American dream and I wonder, like, what is the American dream? Is the American dream a physical thing, or is it an idea?
I think it initially became, I believe it's an idea that all of us kind of, jumped into, that you have to have certain things, right? You go down this checklist of things, and once you reach it, then you've met the dream. But I mean, even in those things, I think if you check them off and you stop, then you stop living.
Right.
Because if you just reach them, and then what's the next thing? What's the next goal? What's the next thing that's going to drive you? And for most part, what I thought the American dream looked like, right, was the suburban home, the wife, the dog, the 2.5 kids,
right?
2.225
kids,
right?
Goldfish and everything else,
and all of that, right? And you have this nice 401k that you're able to retire on, and
not anymore,
not anymore, and get you a get you an RV and travel, for the rest of your days, all kumbaya.
Yes,
that's the American dream.
The American dream.
That's the American dream.
And it's funny because you look at the people that are around there, and I would agree with you. For the longest time, I thought that's what the American dream is. It's this thing. But then I think about it, and I'm like, okay, well, is that what is that what it is? Is that what we were being told it is? Is that really what it is for me?
Right.
You know, and I think that it varies for a lot of people. And it's funny because I think that that's where a lot of people find themselves unsatisfied.
Yeah.
You know, because they're chasing that cookie cutter American dream, and you know, they get the house and they got the job and all those things that you talked about, and then they say, well, this doesn't feel right.
This doesn't feel like it was supposed to, right? This doesn't feel like what they said it should.
Exactly.
I don't have the euphoria, you know, that feeling that I was supposed to have when I reached it. And you said something that is very simple, but you said, is this for me?
Right.
And I think that's the thing is that we never, we take it at face value because that's what our parents gave us, or that's what we saw on the TV, or that's what we expected this thing should look like, right?
Right.
But now here we are, adults with our own lives, and wondering, is that for me?
Yeah.
You know, is that the route that I should take in order to have fulfillment in my life? And I think that's where, man, a lot of people fall short and come up, you know, just unfulfilled.
Right.
Is because here we are chasing something that's really not our dream or our goal, right? And some people went to college with a desire that they had to, or you know, because the family went and you had to go to the school that the family went to, and you know, all of these things were set in place, right?
Yes.
But we see so many people that didn't even finish high school, or billionaires and so forth and so on, if that's what you wanted. You know, if money is the thing, right?
Right.
What we believe success to be.
Right.
You know, in those instances. So it doesn't have to be the same route for everybody, is all I'm saying at the end of the day.
I agree with that. And I think, I guess coming from looking at us, you know, or if I compare like looking at me and my sister, but I say like looking at us, you know, here we are right now, we're two people that went two completely different paths,
right?
You know, but we ended up in the same room together.
Yeah,
you know, right? So there is no roadmap or specific roadmap for any one person to find out what that American dream is, and I think that it's starting to be realized a little bit more. I think it's still going to take some time before people really accept that, you know, because of the way that society has built everybody up, and you know, I mean, you know, schools become a business, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to keep pushing it as long as they can because that's a business, and you know, there's just so many things.
We saw that just now, right? With COVID and everything, and they're pushing to, you know, there was you know, federal money that wouldn't even be given if they didn't go back to school, right?
Exactly.
Because it's at the end of the day, it's business, right?
Right. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy though, you know. And so I guess for me, you know, when we had talked about and we were throwing ideas around and we figured out like what is that American dream, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what is that, and how can we relate that or try to break it down for people? And it was interesting because I can't say, even for myself, like there's one, I guess for myself I can, but for the people listening, that, you know, this is a direction you can kind of go in, you know, to find out what that is. And the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, well, maybe it was at one point, if we go way back, you know, when people first started, I don't know, when they first started talking about the American dream, I feel that it wasn't necessarily a physical thing for people outside of America. I think it was the idea that they could be free.
Yes.
Right. Because there was just so much, whatever it is, the horrors and the dramas and the wars and everything from wherever they were at. And, you know, I think about those people, and those people left because they just wanted to be able to survive, to be able to live, to see another day, to be able to, you know, just have the most basic necessities for their family. And so, like, obviously, I wasn't born way back then. I mean, you weren't either, you know, when all this was going on, but it's weird. Is like, at what point did that change? What point did it go from, you can be free, anybody can come here and build a life and take care of your family, to, 6-figure job and huge house, and I got a boat and a jet ski and 4 cars. Like, when did that happen? You know, when did that transition occur and people started shifting, you know, the viewpoint of what it is?
I mean, it seems like stuff became valuable,
right?
Like it status and all of those things began to be layered onto these particular things that you mentioned, right? You know, so to have the house, the car, you know, all of those things began to go with these jobs that we were picking up. You know, that people were getting these CEO positions and running these major corporations, and you had to look a certain way and you had to operate in a certain dynamic, which caused you to then have to go purchase something else, right? or go get this other thing. And honestly, even and that's been a traditional, you know, that hadn't been for everybody.
No, not at all.
You know, that isn't a dynamic that has been available or afforded to everybody.
Right.
You know, and so we talk about the American dream, and you talked about immigrants coming in, but there's been some immigrants that have been here in the country who grew up here, right? Transported here, who still hadn't felt that dream, right? Who still hadn't felt the movement or the ability to be able to move in the same way that everybody else has, right? And we can rip the Band-Aid off of it anytime you want. But at the end of the day, the American dream, I think, is what you decide it's going to be. Right?
Exactly.
Because each one, like you said, each one of us is going to be hit. It's setting a goal. I believe the American dream is setting a goal, and on your way to achieving that goal, you'll find some purpose. Right. And in finding purpose, if you identify purpose, then that purpose is going to lead you to living the dream. Like you say all the time, I'm just living the dream. Just living the dream.
I say, you know, my ironic, I'm just living the dream, one day at a time. I mean, but that's, I think that, you know, kind of hits the nail on the head, you know, and I think about, you know, like the endeavors that we're going on right now. You know, I guess originally, if you would have asked me, and even back in my days when, like, I would do music, right? And I would write music and stuff like that. And I'd write about the things that I would want. And they were all very material. Well, if I wasn't writing about depression, but, you know, but other than that, right? Like, they were all very material things. And it was like whatever the newest, hottest material thing that was out, right? Or the vacation and whatever the new hot spot was, you know? And that's just kind of what I always equated to living the dream, you know. But I guess as I got older, or I even look at like right now where we're at, like, I feel it's that's weird. I keep pausing and starting when the music starts, but I am feeling this music, by the way. I don't know if it's because we're talking about the American dream. It's inspiring music, you. Right? But whatever it is. But I think about, the more I think about it, I think it's more, achieving that goal that you set, but being able to take care of yourself while you're doing something that you love. And what I mean by that is, and I mean, you could think completely different, right? But, you know, we work together on this podcast, and, you know, we're working on our other project right now. And in all honesty, man, like, if I could stay at the level that I'm at right now, in this house that I'm at right now, and be able to afford all my bills, you know, doing this podcast and working on our other project, that's the American dream for me.
I got you.
It's what I want to do.
I got you.
You know?
Yeah.
And do I need anything else?
I got it.
You know? And I mean, again, that's not for everybody, right? Some people always want to inspire and have more and be more and do more and grow. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, like, to be able to come together, make great content for people, and work on the other project that helps people, and just do that and be able to live and not have to worry about, are my lights going to get cut off?
Yeah,
you know,
course,
can I afford gas?
Right.
You know, can I take a vacation? Just to be able to do that and not have to stress about all the BS.
Right.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've kind of personally, I've battled between enough for today, like having everything necessary for today, and having this stockpile for tomorrow. Right.
Right.
And I've been in a season where, excuse me, I've been in a season where I've been fed for today. You know what I'm saying? There's anything that I needed for the moment was there, right? Either you know, a home sale would come through, or something else would happen, right? Or you know, I'll do a little graphic and, you know, get paid from that, or whatever it is, but it would be enough for today.
Right.
And there hadn't been this and I've part of probably the American dream says that I should have this over here, you know, ready, and you should have this all of these things set up. But I'm becoming more and more settled in being secure in the moment.
Right.
So yeah, I have to prepare for the future. And that's not, you know, definitely have to look forward for it. But I'm no longer stressing over tomorrow.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Sufficient for today is what's gonna come today, right? And if I can deal with that, then I've won. Because then tomorrow will take care of itself. Tomorrow's gonna show up and I can't do anything about it today, right?
Exactly.
So let me work through today, be grateful about today, take on the challenges that may happen today, and then be better about those tomorrow. Right. And that is that for me is a mindset that I believe shifts me into being able to see the dream and not assume it's a nightmare.
Right. No, that makes sense, man. That makes sense, and I think that you know, kind of what you said, it plays into a lot. I think that people in general, they're always looking too far ahead. You know, they're always looking too far ahead, but
that's another thing, man. They told us, what is your 5, 10, 15,
right?
20-year plan?
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Right.
Like,
right. And you're in high school. What do you mean? What I see myself in 10 years?
See myself in 10 years. I'm trying to be over here in 10 minutes.
Right.
You know? Like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 10
I'm going
years.
to the homecoming game. What are you talking about?
Yeah, man. But I mean, that's what it is. And it's always been kind of fed. But the thing is you can't predict it, right?
Yeah.
You can't predict. Like, if you think about the last 10 years of your life, could you have predicted those 10 years?
Man,
you know,
and
or even
I
come
think
close?
you come up with the best case scenario,
Right.
You always come up with the pie in the sky idea, but you never know the changes that are going to happen in life that are going to attempt to derail those things, right? The loss of loved ones, the loss of income, the shifting of a job, a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, you never know what those things are that are going to come to kind of shift that. And if you've put all of your eggs in that basket,
Oh, you're going to be in trouble.
You're going to be in trouble, right? You better scramble them or do something, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be something that you're still going to have to prepare for that you didn't think was part of that journey. Right. And I've gone through quite a bit of that, man. I think that's been the biggest areas of growth for me, is in realizing that there are going to be some things that are going to happen in the journey that are going to shift my perspective. But I can either learn from them, or I can allow those things to break me.
Right. That makes sense. Do you think that the American dream is a product of whatever environment that you're in? Because when I think about it, like, I think about where I am today, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously I've been fortunate enough, or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it, but I've been fortunate enough to live in several different areas. Mm-hmm. You know, from California, which, you know, well, now California's rough, but, you know, you had a lot of beauty in California. Mm-hmm. You had a lot of beauty in Hawaii, right? Mm-hmm. You have a lot of beauty. I mean, here in Texas, even though it's mostly flat dirt, whatever. Mm-hmm. But same thing in Florida, right? But I think about, you know, when I was living in Hawaii, and I put myself at that time when I was there, I had probably the worst apartment you could find, right? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't huge. It was smaller. The whole thing was smaller than this room that we're in right now, you know, and that's one bedroom with the bathroom and the kitchen, right? And, you know, it had the windows, the old school, the glass slats that don't got a screen. Okay. You know what I'm talking about?
They're raised up.
Yeah, that you
louver?
Yeah, it had little louver windows on it, right? Yeah, that's the kind of place it was, you know, and there was no screen. So, you know, geckos and bugs and stuff were always getting in the apartment, you know, right? But, and I hated it because, you know, I was young at the time, and, you know, I saw what was on TV, and I wanted what was on TV, and I thought that that's what you had to be, right? Yeah. But then as I got older and I moved, you know, like to Florida or whatever, and you talk to people, they're like, man, you lived in Hawaii. That'd be a
beautiful place.
That'd be a dream, man. That'd be a dream, right? And, you know, you think about that, or, you know, I was in Florida, and yeah, I mean, my apartment was a little bit bigger, but it still wasn't bigger, you know, and then I come to Texas where cost of living is low. And, you know, now, you know, you can afford, you know, people can come here and get a house that's, you know, 2,500 square feet, 3,000 square feet, 4,000 square feet, to where, you know, like Florida or New York, or, you know, the apartment site.
Yeah, of course.
And to them, it's like, man, that's your living.
Y'all are living.
You got 3,000 square, right? But it just seems like, you know, is it an environmental thing? Are you a product of your environment? Is the American dream based upon what's around you, or formulated around what's around you, or are people just not realizing they need to be satisfied with what they have?
I mean, I feel like that's awesome, Quaz. It's an awesome question, man, because it can be, I feel like it is rooted in your ability to be content in wherever you are at the moment, right?
Right.
Because like you said, you were in Hawaii. Yeah, and on the other side of those louvered windows was the most beautiful ocean, or whatever it is, or the most beautiful view. And sometimes I think we get caught up in not seeing the view on the other side of the louvers. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy. Is I'm sitting here and I'm in Hawaii, and I'm not talking about you. I'm literally sitting in your apartment now, talking to myself. I'm sitting in Hawaii, which is the situation I'm currently in, right? I'm in Hawaii. I'm looking through louvered windows, and the louvered windows are for me a sign of contention, because I feel like it's not where I should be, right? This is an old apartment. It's not big enough. But on the other side of that is the most beautiful scenery that I could have ever imagined. But I can't see it because I'm so caught up in the louvered windows. Right. And I think sometimes our lives follow that same movement.
Right.
And like you said, we'll get caught up in our current box, in our current situation, assuming that this is the worst thing ever. When in actuality, sometimes I just need to change my perspective. I need to get outside of this box, because sometimes the walls close in on you.
Right.
And sometimes you just need to shift that cycle. Let me get out of this for a second. Realize that this place where I am is actually protecting me. It's my place of significant growth. You and I have talked stories about it, right? You had a mentor that was giving you some mad information.
Great information,
right? And here it is, you mad about louvered windows. And so, but we live our lives like that. Each one of us, we live our lives like that in the 700 square foot apartment, looking through louvered windows. But on the other side of that is mountains and amazing scenery, right? But we can't see it. We can't see it because we're only concerned about this little box of where we feel like we're not successful.
Right. And it's crazy, and it's funny because I hear you, like, I hear myself say it, and then I hear you talk about it, and I'm like, God, that guy must have been stupid.
Right.
And like, oh wait, that's me.
That's me. Oh, I just told that story. Right?
That's me, man. But I mean, that really is what it is. And I don't know. I guess that's why they say youth is wasted on the young. Maybe I don't know, right? Because I'm like, man, I sometimes I think back and I go back to those times and I'm like, what was my problem? What was my real deal? Like, why did I not appreciate the situation that I was in, and how great it really was? I mean, because I think back and when I talk about it and when I tell people, about my experience, I always tell them, man, yeah, you should go do it, right? You should go be a part of that and you should go try it out and you can achieve that dream. And this is how I did it when I went there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm happy about it now, but I wasn't then. And it was over the dumbest stuff, oh man, this the sink, it's not undermount, and it's this little thing like this island, the top of this island is wobbly, and why is this the best I can do, but hell.
I think it's attributed to society saying that we should be in a different place at this point in our lives, right? By 30, I need to be here. By 40, I need to be here. 50, 60, 70, by this place, I need to be in these particular areas, right?
Right.
And when we don't check those off, we have this subconscious thing that's saying, dang, I just turned 30 and this is not where I intended to be. And so now you put into this, gear this unfamiliar kind of movement that you're not even prepared for. Right? You put this kind of pressure on yourself to do these things that aren't even part of purpose. Because sometimes we miss it. We, in order to achieve what they said we should be achieving, we miss out on the purpose that was sitting right there in front of us. Right? Right. Because I was looking over here. I was looking over here, looking over here, looking over here. I didn't really see my purpose was sitting right here. And it was part of the situation. I think you said something earlier that clicked. Yeah, you were living in a small apartment, but today, the American dream for you is okay right here in this place. Is being content in the place where you currently are. Right. And being able to help and assist and us push this to the next level. Then you feel like you've reached, that place of fulfillment. That initial movement in Hawaii was fuel for the day. Right. But now you can look back on it and realize that it was part of the development of the dream to this point.
The overall process.
Right?
It's all part of it, the good and the bad. It all forms and comes together and it all happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Because and that's the thing that I think that people have a hard time buying into, is that they don't understand or they don't realize that everything that happens for a reason. Now, whatever that reason is, everybody has, whether it's, faith driven or you believe in crystals or whatever, right? There's always a reason for it, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, your life, is the way that it is for a reason. And I think about, like, without Hawaii, if Hawaii never happened, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
Right. And man, like, the amount of stuff that I went through and the growth that I've gone through from that point to now, like, I couldn't imagine what would happen if Hawaii never happened, or I never left, or if I would have stayed there. Like, I probably wouldn't be at the levels that I am, mentally or whatever, physically, whatever the situation is. And that's huge, but at the same time, I think what a lot of people are afraid of, and I could be wrong, they can correct me if I am, but is the word content.
Okay.
Right? And I don't necessarily think that content is a bad word, but when you go to these people, whether they're inspirational speakers or motivational speakers or like whatever else, like, they make it seem like being content is bad. you know, like don't be content, you know,
Right.
don't be happy, like, you know, there. And I feel like there's a difference between being content and being hungry,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, for me, like I said, like I would, if I could make content on a podcast, work on the other project, and be able to pay my bills, I would be happy. That's the American dream, right? But does that mean I'm going to stop wanting to do other projects?
Right.
No.
No.
Does that mean I'm going to stop wanting to grow?
Right.
No. You know, so I will be content if it ends at that point, but it is not going to stop me.
That's not the end all.
Yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
end all. And I don't think that people realize that there's a difference in there, you know, and I think it gets hammered in their head that they can't be happy with this. They have to have the next.
Yeah. Contentment for me, man, comes with wisdom. I believe that they're business partners,
Right.
right? That contentment is about a particular time and season where you are right now. Because you can stress yourself out completely, right? Physically, mentally, break yourself down because you're not happy with your current situation.
Right. Right.
And so, no, contentment is not a bad word in that you're just going to lay there in it, but it's being wise and knowing that this current situation is a building block for the next one.
Right.
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 And that what is it that I need to learn in this current situation so that I could move on to the next thing.
Right.
And so for me, contentment is it. Paul says it in the Bible, right? He says, "Be content in whatever state you're in, whether in lack or whether in profit, whether you know good or bad. Find a place in there where you can find out, okay, this is for my growth, good or bad. This is
Right,
for my growth.
right.
This is for my development." And sometimes then that contentment, I think, has to be laced with wisdom, so that you don't fall victim to depression and all of those other kind of things in that season, because you're looking at the 700 square foot apartment through the louvers,
Through the louvers.
and not seeing the other side, right?
And I broke so many of them damn louvers too. I'm not going to say, because you know there's always the little end piece that holds the glass in will always get bent, and then they just slide right out, and it's like, golly, those things was like $5-6 a piece.
And you didn't have $5-6 a piece,
Man, at that time when I got there, I
Right.
was working at McDonald's. I was only making like $6.75 or something like that. And I was like, that's an hour's of work.
That's a whole hour of work going in one piece of glass.
Just slid right out. Boom. I was like, oh, Lord have mercy, man. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. I said, if this whole window breaks, that's a week's worth of work right there, you know? It was crazy, you know. And I think back, man, God, if I could go back to that apartment right now, it would be amazing. I always tell myself I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna visit.
Yeah.
You got to start back, because
Yeah.
that was for me, really the starting point of being a real adult and going after
Yeah.
the American dream at
Right.
that time, right? Like that was it. You know, I was finally fully away from, you know, everybody, the family and everything, and taking off, man. But God, that apartment, if you could see it, you'd be like, ugh. but you know, it was great. You know, it was great. It served its purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and did what it was supposed to do.
Right.
You know, but I guess now, I mean, there's some people that are probably in that same situation right now, you know, and coming up right now. And how do can you tell them, or can you coach them, or can you give them advice? I guess like Dallas sat down and talked to me, right? Like
Right.
how do you pay that forward to people who are sitting in multiple scenarios, right? So like we're sitting here and we're talking about this right now, and we don't know who's going to hear it, who's
Yeah.
going to listen to it, who's going to buy into it or want to hear something encouraging, for where they're at. Like, what are those words that you can say or give them that's going to make them feel like they're on the right path, or maybe the path that they're on, they need to switch,
Yeah.
change that thought.
I mean, first of all, I think platforms like this give us that opportunity, right? It opens the door for us to be able to share just life. Because at the end of the day, we don't come on here as if we're, the experts in it all, right?
I'm definitely not.
Definitely not, right? All we're doing is two men who are willing to be open and honest enough to be able to share life with each other and with the world, right? In hopes that it may help one or two. That's at the end of the day. That's really what we're trying to do right here, right? And so with that, what I would say is that be careful that we don't make permanent decisions in temporary situations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've been there, done that, and have made permanent decisions in temporary situations. And those permanent decisions then, of course, create longer term things that you didn't have to deal with, right? Over and over and over and over and over. But they were made out of emotional movements. And so one of the things that I've learned is that I continue to try to grow in is not being an emotional person, right? Because I know they say men aren't emotional, but I can make any emotional moves. I can make snap decisions. I can make, you know what I'm saying, and not really count the whole cost of it. And so sometimes for me, I'm learning to sit back, not allow the situation to cause me to be so stressed out and so blinded that I make moves that aren't going to be profitable on the back end.
Right.
And then there's another thing for me, prayer helps, because it helps to ground me. It helps to kind of solidify and strengthen my resolve in moving forward. I don't know what else you have, right? I don't know what else anybody else has, but I know that for me is a way that helps to align me, to calm me, right? And put me in the right headspace to then make the right decision or seek out the right conversation, at least with somebody to help make the right decision.
Right. And I think that, that is an important thing, right? For people to find that outlet that helps them make better decisions, and that's kind of why, even we talked about kind of why we're doing this right now, right? Is there's a lot of people out there that don't feel that they have a good sound, sound person or a sound body or a sound word or whatever it is to take on the task that they're going through. And it's hard. It's hard when you're in it. Yeah. Right. And it's always easier to tell somebody, hey, it's going to be all right. Hey, you can do it. You could do it. Even now, man, like just in the conversations that we've had, with this, like I think about like I'm on here and I'm saying these things, but then when I look at my own personal life, I'm like, damn, I'm not even following my own advice. Right. But it's because it's always easier when it's not you, and it's always easier to change your mind frame when it's not you that has to deal with it, so I don't know,
man. I've always laughed at because you go into the barber shop or for ladies, you go into the beauty shop, right, and you go in there and you go in there with the intentions of coming out looking like whatever you found in that magazine, right? And they work on it and they fix you up and everything is beautiful, but you look at the person who's doing the work sometimes, right? And they beat up, right? Hair is all over the head, unshaved, uncut. And it's just what you said, right? Here I am the master at creating this look. Right. I can create this look all day long. But then when it comes down to me taking care of me, sometimes I fall short, right? Because I'm so intent. And that's one of the things that we have to be mindful of, even in this and in our production of this, is that we don't lose ourselves in helping others so much that we're falling by the wayside at home, right? And so that's the thing that I've had to learn in this kind of as I've grown as a coach or a mentor or just a good friend. Right. Not being so overly engaged in somebody else's process that I lose myself. Right.
And it's easy to do, man.
It's easy to do.
It's easy to do.
Because then it's easy for you not to put yours on the back burner and then feel like you can, it's a project at that point. And if I can be successful in this project, and I know that's my mentality. Let me go to the next project. And boom, I can see success in that. Boom, that fuels me. That gives me energy. That drives me. But then I still hadn't dealt with this. But let me go to the next project. And so when all of that stuff comes to a head and you're forced to deal with it, that's sometimes when the person who's been the helper finds themselves needing a significant amount of help.
Right. No, man, you described me pretty good, man. I mean, that's how I am, and it's gotten me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You go through and you're trying to help this person and help that person do this and do that. And it's funny, right? Because they say, like, if you help people, you feel better. If you give, you feel better. And you do to a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. But they never tell you what is that limit. What is that?
Right.
How far does that mean you go, right? Because I've helped a lot of people, and then it puts me in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And there's no help, So you're like, okay, well, now that I've helped, right? And I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird situation to be in, right? When you put yourself there.
Dude, speaking of a bad spot, I was mid-20s, had bought a 4-bedroom house, working, together, same place we were working at.
Right.
Feeling like I was living the American dream, right? And had some friends that were on hard times. Hey, yeah, I got this house. Come hang out. And opened it up to, no, don't worry about paying bills. No, I got it. I'm good. And I made myself out to be this guy who had it all together, right? And no, everything's good. I got it. You'll just come, y'all get together, and then when you straight, then boom, you can go ahead and do what you need to do. Did that probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, with friends and family, people I consider family, who, who needed something at that point. And I was everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was everything. I was the cook. I was the, bill pay, all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And found myself at the end of that journey, sitting in the middle of that 4-bedroom house, waiting on movers to come because the house had been foreclosed. And it was just me. It was just me sitting in the middle of that living room, wondering what had just happened. And I had this thought process of like, I did all of this and I did all of that. And I started getting frustrated and I started getting bitter because I felt like everything that I had done should have kept me from this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I started, and it really took me through a tailspin in that moment in my life, because here I am, man, moving from a 4-bedroom house to a 1-bedroom apartment. All of my stuff didn't fit. So I had to have 2 garage sales. Mind you, man, this is stuff I had worked for.
Right.
All of my stuff. And here I was helping. And now I'm sitting in this thing waiting on the movers to come. And I leave. We get into that 1-bedroom apartment. A few months later, a hurricane comes through, floods the apartments. Mold growing up the apartment. So even the last little things that I had left, now I'm moving from the 1-bedroom apartment, packing the stuff that's left up, that's still salvageable up, and I put that into a 10 by 10 storage. My life at that point was like, forget it all. You know, all of these people, forget all of y'all. Don't ask me for nothing.
Right. Not a
thing. Don't ask me for anything. But it was all part of my learning process, man. I had to learn how to, and it's still today, it's still a learning process for me. I had to learn how to temper my giving in such a way, because at some point I became God for people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they didn't look for their own dream. They didn't look for their own way out. They didn't look for their own ability to build or to grow or to develop. It's because I was the middleman.
Yeah.
I was the hustler that was going to make it work, right? That was going to go out of my way to make sure that this happened for them. And at the end of the day, I'm no longer bitter about it, no longer mad about it, because it was the learning lesson that I needed in order to protect at least my own little American dream.
Right.
At the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Because I look back, I'm mad at myself. Bruh, that was an investment property that I could have sold for 3 times as much in this market.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's those kind of things, man, that now I look back on and I was like, okay, you have to be more wise. You know, content and wise in those situations, and realize that you on everybody's bailout plan.
You know, and that's, I think a lot of people struggle with that though, right? Especially when it comes down to people that they care about, or people that are a heavy influence in their life. And it's difficult. It's difficult to say no.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say, I can't, or maybe later, or whatever it is. And I think that the better that we get at saying no, or saying whatever it is, the better we become. But you think about those stories, and it's inspirational for you to tell that, right? Because at the end of the day, like, you're telling a story of, this is what happened to me, and I was frustrated and this, that, and the other, but there's someone on the other end of the camera, right? That is like in that right now. It's
right there, right now.
And they're like, okay, well, if this man can bounce back and get out the apartment and get into a house and be successful, I can do that, right? So, and I think, and those are the stories that, as much as they suck, they need to be told, right? Like, I mean, for me, I tell people, especially the ones that are a little younger and coming up. I mean, so I said, man, like, it's funny. There's a Yellow Wolf song. But one of the lines in the song is like, he's like, there's no brake lights on my life. I'm either rich or evicted. Right. Right.
I love it. Yeah.
And I have been like, in that same scenario, and people look and they say, okay, well, this is where you are now. So first of all, you guys don't know where I really am right now, right? But I mean, man, I've lived in my car twice.
Yeah.
I've lost everything multiple times.
Yeah.
I've had to restart, credit and this and that, because you're helping this person and that person and whatever. And I've lost it all. Got it, lost it all. Got it, lost it all.
Yeah.
And you're building back up, to try to get to where you are. And you can do it. It sucks, but those are things that they build resilience in you.
So I'm glad you said that. Or you bought it, or had it, lost it all, had it, lost it all, building again. Is that the American dream?
I think that it is, I think that it is, I think that that sums it all up, and if you look at some of the most successful people out there, it wasn't what they're the millionaires or billionaires, right? That wasn't their first go. That wasn't their first try. I'm watching this show on the History Channel, even it's like the history of food.
Okay.
And then you see, like the Heinz and the Hershey's and the this and the that, and
right.
how many times they tried,
Yeah.
right, and failed,
Right.
and okay, well, I'm scrapping all this. This is the last $30 that I have. We
Yeah.
have to make it work, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the American dream, right? Because you can take something and build something great out of it here without being hushed or without being told you can't do it, right? Like, yeah, you're gonna piss some people off, and someone's not, people aren't gonna be happy, but there's gonna be a whole slew of people that get behind you for what you are doing, and you can be successful. Where you can't do that everywhere. Not everybody has that platform or access to the tools to be able to reset, start over, reset, start over.
Right.
You look at some of these places you go, other countries and stuff. Once they hit the bottom, they're there for life. And there's nowhere else you can go.
Or if you start at the bottom, there's nowhere to go. Right. Because of the class system or whatever it is, that once you're there for life, right? You're already branded. And I mean, it seems like, we didn't start off with a definition of the American dream, but it seems like we're developing one, right? And it seems like, your story, my story, if we put those together, the common thread has been the starting, the failure or the breakdown, the learning, the growth, and then the next movement, right? And we have that ability to be able to do that here, right? You can start in the hood, or you can start on the farm, or you can start wherever it is you start, and with the right movement, determination, level of push, you can go to the next level, and you can reach the next thing, and you can push towards the next goal, and I feel like that's the foundation of what the American dream really is that we have that opportunity.
The opportunity to succeed, and it's funny, and this is gonna sound crazy, right? But as you're telling me this, and it's making things click, and I'm listening to this music, and so like I'm just like hearing the
This music is a thing for you, huh?
It is, man. The music is
like Rocky standing up on it.
So ironically, I'm getting ready to use a Rocky reference. Right.
Okay.
So you read my mind, man. You read my mind. But so you take a Rocky movie, I don't know, or if you watched the new Creed movies or anything else, okay? And this makes me think, is the American dream success? Because if you think about a Rocky movie, and I'm not a movie critic, or you think about a Creed movie, right? What happens? Or even like in this music, you start out with this gradual buildup. This is this person, they're grinding, right? Yeah. They're building themselves up,
right?
And then they come to a point where they're almost at their peak, and they get destroyed.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They get beat down. Rocky loses that fight, or Adonis loses that fight.
Right.
And then what happens? Now you got to go out to the farm.
Yeah.
And you got to start that build up.
You separate yourself.
Right. Yeah. You got to build up again.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And then the music builds. Right. And then there's that pause, and then boom, it's the big show.
Yeah.
And you're slugging it out.
Right.
And then what happens? You start out okay, and then it looks like you're about to lose.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then as the music comes up and you get this strength from nowhere, right? Like, I don't know, right? Then you come back and you win.
Yeah.
Right. And that's that success. Right. Is the American dream just being able to achieve success?
And I like that, because then we can break that down into smaller bits that can be eaten on a daily basis. Right?
Right.
But instead of making it out to be this big, huge thing that seems somewhat unattainable.
Right.
What if we broke that down into daily success for the American dream? Right?
Daily success.
If today I was successful in getting to carpool on time to get the kids where they need to be, can I take that success and be like, okay, I'm living the dream today.
Living the dream, man.
Are there and I'm being funny, but are there some daily successes that we can find that then that are the building blocks for the full home? Right. So yes, a brick at a time, but let me take each brick as success and not wait until I get the full thing built. Because maybe, just maybe, my son is going to finish the house. And if my son finishes the house and I don't see it finished, then was I not successful? No, I gave him building blocks.
Right.
I provided for him the material to complete it. And I showed him how to build, right?
Exactly.
And then he completes the building. Now, generationally, we're building success. And generationally, the American dream begins to be strengthened in a name, right? The Hingston names is now
Hingston Estates, right?
The Hingston Estates.
Hingston Estates
is now a name that has been built generationally, and in the course of that, there's success. There's
success from beginning to end, right? And that's what you said. Like, even though you say, it's ironic, but I don't think it is ironic, right? I mean, something as small as picking up the kids on time is a success. And at the end of the day, it's about being a little better today than we were yesterday. Right? And that's what it is. There's no end all be all that's going to, you're not going to change overnight, right? Whether it's, finding a new job, working out, going on a diet, getting in shape, starting a business.
Hey. You talking about me?
I'm talking about me.
You talking about? I think you're talking about me.
Oh no, I'm talking about me. Which, by the way, they'll be able to chronicle on my weight loss journey on Patreon. Right? I will be uploading clips of my journey. I need to drop a few lbs, man. For real.
Do y'all see Shepard? And they look at me.
No, I was even looking at the video. I was like, damn, I look like a puffed up milk dud sitting over there, man. Jesus. I said, they really don't, man, not having no hair. You can't see no definitive lines on my face. Like, whew, I need to get my bone structure back, dude. Get my bone structure back. But hey, again, it's just being a little bit better than we were yesterday, man. And I think that as we go through time, we will definitely be able to do that and get there.
Yeah.
So
it's been a great conversation, man. One that I think we can, continue to unpack and continue to dig through, and hopefully, you guys will give us some feedback, and and that this is something we can come back and revisit and really just kind of even go deeper into, because like you said earlier, there's somebody right now who is in the current situation where they're feeling hopeless, or they feel like, there's nothing that they can do about their current situation, whatever it is. Failure's part of that journey.
It is. And
it sucks to hear, because that's not what we don't joy in that. That's not what's shown on the TV.
Right.
But everybody's journey has a bit of failure in it that then drives you to the next thing.
And if there's not failure in it, they're lying.
They're lying. They're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying.
No one hits it out the park, instant success, greatest idea ever.
Yeah.
In that first time.
And you go back and you work on it, right? And
exactly.
and hopefully you go back to the place where you don't make the same mistakes the same way you made them the last time, right?
Exactly.
And so
man.
Yeah, man. It's been a great one.
It's been a good one, man. Let's cut this out and let's get back to where we need to be. So, guys, everybody out there, be passionate about what you do. Find love for those you meet.
A river will continue to run, but it will only it will only cut through rock in time. It doesn't do it immediately. So stay the course, stay the race.
You guys have a good night.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I came